We are going to talk about a movie.
This is gonna be a disaster.
It was one of the best movies of the year.
It's gonna go so well. Probably one of the last movies I would ever want to see in a theater. What is going on, everybody? Taylor and Jacob here!
Hello!
And it is officially our second episode of talking about Game of Thrones. We got our second episode of the season today.
We did.
And
we actually got to watch it live.
we did.
Which was good. I love Easter Monday.
Happy Easter Monday, everyone.
Yes.
By the time this is uploaded, though, it'll probably be next week, but
Probably,
whatever.
yeah.
But the sentiment is still there.
Yes.
So we've got quite a bit to talk about, actually.
We do,
I know
yes.
that there have been people saying that once again it's an episode where not a lot really happens, and because it's such a short season, it doesn't really make sense to have episodes where not a lot happens, but there is so much to unpack from this episode.
I really actually think this is one of the best episodes Game of Thrones has ever done outside of The Winds of Winter.
I think so too. I think it's one of my. It's definitely in my top 5. I think,
Yeah.
because we got so much time just character building and exploring these relationships, and you know, now that all of these people are in Winterfell at the same
Yeah.
time, and none of them are trying to kill each other,
Yeah.
we get these moments
Yeah.
where they just get to talk.
I loved the scene. So let's start at the beginning and then we'll get
into a lot of the stuff that
Alright,
happened.
but I just want to put this out there. Other than The Winds of Winter, which I think is the best hour of television ever made in period, I'm including Ozymandias in that. This is my favourite. The Winds of Winter, I've said in the past, is my favourite hour of television. This is bloody close to Winds of Winter.
It gets up there.
This was, and for completely different reasons.
Oh, right.
But I adored this episode for the amount of character work it did. But let's start where it started with Jaime in, I'm guessing, the courtroom? I don't actually know what it's called.
Where they really hold their counsel most of the time. And I was kind of expecting it to start there because of the preview that we got from last week. And I think it's a smart place for them to start. To have the acknowledgement that Jaime is there, have it all out in the open, figure out how everyone feels about it, and where you're going to go from there.
Yeah, I thought it was handled well. I thought it was a really good scene. There wasn't any... Everyone acted normal. I think when you really... I loved the way that they handled Sansa and Brienne.
Yeah,
I thought that was handled really well, and that you really got the, okay, you trust her, I trust you.
Well, I agree. I think that it definitely happened differently than I was expecting it to. I wasn't expecting there to really be anyone other than Tyrion that was going to stand up and say, you know... Well,
I forgot that Brienne was there.
Well, I didn't forget that Brienne was there. I just wasn't sure if she was going to be there, like actually in that discussion with them. And it makes sense to me. That is completely 100% in Brienne's character to do that.
Absolutely.
Because Jaime has earned that from her. Like, she has spent so much time with him, and she knows that despite the rocky relationship they had at the very beginning, she knows what kind of man that he is. Yeah. And I love that about her so much, that she is so honorable and so loyal to those people who really do good by her and who she knows are good people, especially in a situation like that where you have pretty much an entire court of people who are all wanting to kill him, basically right on the spot. I
love Bran's contributions in that moment. I thought that was well handled, and I do like that he explains later why he didn't say anything, which I thought was good. Overall, I love that scene. I thought we'll get to it later. Jon annoyed me in this episode, but it was... I was expecting him to annoy me this episode, and he did. Enough. But that's because it's a double-edged sword. It had to happen because it had to happen, but at the same time, it's just annoying because that's part of the show I don't like. whatever. um, but other than that, I thought it was really well handled, and you could see that Dany was annoyed, like getting annoyed with Tyrion and kind of starting to lose a bit of her control, or what? Not control, but when she looked at Sansa, when Sansa went, "Okay, you can stay." She was like, "Hang on, no, okay, no, everyone's believing you, everyone's listening to her, not me." Okay, and that was kind of she was getting annoyed then at everyone there.
I think that it is interesting that we've seen Daenerys really struggle with establishing herself in Winterfell, which we kind of knew was going to happen because we know how the Northerners react to new people, especially people who are trying to establish a claim to the throne, basically, because you don't know with new people if they're going to respect the tradition that you have the king in the north, or the queen in the north, and if they're going to be able to have that control over their own space. And it's been made pretty clear that Daenerys doesn't want that. She wants the north to be a part of those 7 kingdoms that really fall under her reign. And I think that this episode really established, more so than we've already seen, that she's going to have issues with that, because in several different instances in this episode we see how loyal a lot of people have grown to Sansa being the lady there, and obviously they're all very much behind Jon, as we've seen. So the fact that Jon and Sansa both now have this really, really great loyalty, they're both doing a fantastic job in their own right of the parts of Winterfell that they're leading. You know, Sansa with some of the strategy stuff that's off the battlefield in terms of rationing food and making sure that they have enough to live off of, and really kind of being, I think, what Marjorie wanted to be, where she's there for all of the people. And I think that's really interesting that we just naturally see that that's happening. And I think that's one of the big reasons why Daenerys was advised strongly to go talk to Sansa and figure out what's going on there.
Well, if you want to get to that scene, I thought that was handled also beautifully. Jorah and
Tyrion?
No, Jorah and Daenerys talking,
Daenerys,
and
right.
The two of them having that conversation, I thought was really beautiful, and it showed just how much that their relationship has grown. Also, I think it confirms something for in predictions, but that's also like that relationship is very strong between the two of them. They can talk. That he could say, "Go and talk to Sansa." Tyrion is your hand. The reason you made him for a reason, and because he has the best mind. He learns from his mistakes. No one else, no other hand learns from their mistakes as much as Tyrion does. He made mistakes, but he's learnt from them, and now...
And no matter who you put as your hand, people are going to make mistakes. So you want the person who can quickly see that they made a mistake and then builds from there. Because as we've seen, the hands previously have...
But I also love that he didn't explain the mistake to Daenerys.
No.
He was just like, I made a mistake. He didn't explain that because I believed her because she's pregnant, and I thought that she would want to do that. And so I think that was smart, but is also something that's going to come back and bite him.
I think so. I think it will. But I definitely appreciated the scene that the two women had together, because we did get to see a brief moment of them being able to kind of lean on each other, and in terms of they're both in positions of power where a lot of men don't respect that, and they're really having to deal with a lot of family issues, both of them. And we did get that moment, but it didn't completely heal it unrealistically.
No.
Where you still have those tensions.
Well, I liked that as soon as Sansa still had, this was my principle. This is the one thing.
Yeah.
And it's the one thing that's going to drive a wedge between them the entire time, because neither of them is willing. Yeah, and especially with the revelation that came at the end of the episode,
which we will get to.
We'll get to, but that's going to drive even a further wedge, and this could get interesting.
Yeah, but we'll come back to that because we do have more to talk about. No, we do there.
Definitely. But I thought all that was done really well. And then we get into from there basically they're coming. They will be here tonight.
We get the reunion.
Yeah,
of the Lord Commander.
Yep.
And our favorite redhead.
Yes. I thought that was done well. Like, hey, they're here. They're going to be here tonight.
Yeah.
We gotta prepare.
This is the amount of time we have.
Yep.
And anyone who hasn't shown up yet
is dead.
Close the gates.
Yep.
They're not showing up anymore.
I thought I thought the way they handled that was they're gone. Yeah. If they're not here, they're gone.
You can't hold out any longer. Everyone is gone. Which really I think helped drive home the fact that they're here. We're dealing with this now. Yeah. And then from there we really get to see how everyone is trying to prepare for it. I think one of my favorite setups, character-wise, that I've seen with certain people being in a room together was in this episode.
Yeah, that was... I thought when it was just the two of them and then slowly people started coming, Jaime and Tyrion sitting at the fireplace, I thought was well done. Then Brienne and Podrick turn in, and then I thought that was really beautifully done. The one to me that's missing was Varys. I thought that was the one where I thought, all right, maybe give him in there, as someone there to show he's not just a schemer. That he is because every single time we see Varys lately, it's just a scheme, and I would have liked to have seen the more human side to him. But
I get that, but I do like that we got Sir Davos.
Yeah, I do too. I do too, and I liked that. I liked that everyone got in there and everyone was just like, this was the before a battle, and I really love that they spend an entire episode giving us time with these characters, considering most of them probably aren't coming back
Probably
tomorrow.
not.
Next week, they're gone.
Well, and I really appreciated that all of them pretty much acknowledge that. Like, all of them are prepared to die, and Tyrion is like, I don't know if we're gonna die, and everyone's like,
I think we'll win, and everyone just laughs.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean,
it was just a really nice moment of them all getting to just spend some time just sitting there and drinking and enjoying each other's company before this impending doom that they all know is coming. And I loved Tyrion's remark of, we all were trying to kill the Starks at one point, and now we're here defending Winterfell.
Yeah.
And Brienne says, at least we're gonna die honorably. Yeah. And I think it was such a good combination of people together. And that one scene almost freaking destroyed me. I was crying.
Let's just talk about this.
Let's just get into it.
The scene of the night, by far. Yeah. I know a lot of other people can talk about another certain scene,
which we'll get to.
So we'll get to that. But this was easily the scene of the night for me. Jaime knighting Brienne. Oh. It was so beautifully done.
It was.
Gwendolyn Christie played it absolutely perfect. Yeah. You could. She was stoic while at the same time still having. Yeah. You could see how much this meant to her. Yeah. You could see how much it meant to Jaime.
I know.
I thought all of it was just absolutely perfect.
Well, and I love that there was a universal acceptance in that room, that once the question was, well, why not? Yeah. And then the answer was, because of tradition, and everyone looked at each other and went,
fuck tradition.
What? I just love that a room full of all of them, everyone was like, no, what?
You're a knight.
And Jaime actually stood up and said, no, I have the power to do this. Yeah. And I'm going to do this. And they got to share that moment, which I think was so special. It was so special. And both of us were sitting there like...
Yeah, I was crying. It was absolutely beautiful. And it is those moments that remind you exactly why you love this show. Yeah. Because we've completely fallen in love with these characters. That scene doesn't work in a movie.
No.
Because it might. But
it could, but it doesn't really have that punch.
No.
We've had, those seasons where we've seen their relationship change. We've saw when they first met each other and all the things they've been through and how their relationship has grown through all the seasons since then.
Yeah.
And it's just something that I think has been written and executed so beautifully. It's one of my favorite relationships in the show because it's just come so far.
Yeah, it has. Another conversation that happened before the room was where Jaime pledged his sword to Brienne and went, "I will fight. This, I will fight. Like, would you have me in your command?" And I loved that. I thought that was a beautiful moment between them. It's the softening of Jaime has really worked this season. I thought, I mean, we have seen Jaime really soften, but the fact that this year has shown, this season has shown, no, Jaime has left Cersei. This isn't a betrayal. This isn't a. Jaime has changed. Yeah. And I
which we've seen happening slowly.
No, and it has happened slowly. And I like that the previously on showed old school Jaime where he did put
shoved someone out of the window and was like, eh.
Yeah. And I did love the callback to the things we do for love. And when Jaime called that out, he said, "I did all of this for my family, and I am no longer working for my family. I am done because this means more."
Because I pledged that I would fight for this.
This is honor.
Like, this is, and I do think, I wasn't expecting it, but I do think that it was a nice little touch to have that scene of just Jaime and Brienne again, of Jaime wanting to go apologize and Brienne really saying, like, you know what, you weren't sorry then, but because of everything, because of that, I am where I am now. Yeah. I am where I need to be. And it was just kind of, that's it. Like, we're done. We've acknowledged it, and he, which you were talking about earlier, of him saying why he didn't say anything during the actual trial, I guess you would call it, where he says, if they killed you then,
what good
are you? What's the point?
Yeah.
Like, we wouldn't have you to fight with us now if I would have said, I want him dead. And that is an interesting element to the show now, because I do think even without Brienne being the three-eyed raven, I still think he probably would have had that same perspective just from how Bran was as a character before that. Like, to me, I just see him as still being that person that would be like, you know what?
We need him.
That's a waste. Yeah, we
need him. And I did really love... There's so much about this episode that I love.
There's so much to talk about.
And nothing really... things that I'm looking at going, oh, this didn't work. Other than
we'll get to,
another conversation that I thought was really good handled is when Jaime says, when Jaime and Tyrion are talking, and he says, "Oh, she fooled me too," and Tyrion was like, "She never fooled you. You knew exactly who she was. You were just in love with her." Yeah. And I did really like that conversation. Tyrion had one of my favorite lines of the night in "I wish father was alive," and I like Jaime's reaction at first, like, you killed him. Don't make a joke about father right now. You could see he was angry, but at the same time was
curious.
And then he said, I'd love to see him. I'd love to see the look on his face with us fighting alongside the Starks. And I was just. That was perfect. Yeah. I did.
Well, especially Jaime's reaction after he says that second part of the line. No, it was really great. It's really nice to see them back together again in a place where they're not trying to bridge to each other. They're actually able to sit down and be on that same side again and really... Because they've always had a strong relationship, even though Jaime has had a really hard time with figuring out where his moral compass lies and where his allegiances are and what he's actually doing. He has always loved Tyrion, and we've always seen that he's loved Tyrion. Yeah. So it's really nice to be able to have those moments again where they do get to sit down and not have to be like, well, that was nice, but now we have to go back to...
now we gotta...
to that. And I did think that line was really great, because Jaime has always been smart. Jaime has always known... what's going on, and he's always been very strategic, and he is able to see through things. But another theme of this episode was the things we do for love. As Bran says straight out, that a lot of the stupid things that are happening or have happened are because of that. There are things that will happen. I'm assuming that's also foreshadowing as well. So I thought that was really great.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that.
Do we want to jump into the controversy?
Not quite yet, because I was literally just about to think. I thought of it that I wanted to talk about. Right before we get to the controversy, the other reunion that I thought Sophie Turner played to a T.
Yes.
That I got emotional as well.
Gosh, yes.
And it was perfect when she ran up and hugged Theon.
Oh my gosh.
My God.
That was beautiful.
It was perfect, and I really, really, really loved that moment.
I did too. That moment like broke my heart a little bit, just because their relationship once again has come so far. Because you know, she grew up knowing him as a friend, as someone who grew up in Winterfell with them, and then they had this obviously drastic split where he suddenly is betraying the Starks, and she is at a point where she doesn't want to see him. She will never forgive him. She's so angry about what he's done. And then we get to this point where she sees him and she just basically starts crying and runs over and gives him the biggest hug because she's so happy that he's there. Yeah. And that one hit me really hard. I'm honestly almost crying just thinking about it. Like, I'm having a hard time.
That moment was beautiful and perfect, and I thought they played that really well.
Yeah.
And then I loved in the courtroom scene, or not the courtroom, so the battle planning scene.
Yeah.
And Theon's like, I stole your castle from you. Let me help you defend it. Yeah, and I did like that the redemption of Theon has happened. Yeah. Like it's
and it's being very well earned.
Yeah, like they didn't just go now you like Theon. Yeah. And it has taken a bit and has actually shown over the course of the series that no, like Jaime, they were despicable, but it came from places you understood.
Yeah.
Whereas in the series villains, Ramsay, Joffrey, Cersei. I mean, Cersei I'd take off, but Ramsay and Joffrey.
Yeah.
And even Euron to a degree. Like, they're just villains because they're villains.
You don't understand where their
their evil is because in their nature they are evil.
Yeah.
Whereas in people like Jaime, Jaime's nature is not evil. No. Jaime's nature is honor for his family. It was family first. Theon is a boy stuck between two houses, which
was always going to be tough for anyone. And I think another part of that scene that I really enjoyed, because just the fact that they had that kind of reunion made me really emotional. But something else I appreciated about that scene was he addresses Daenerys, like, tells her what she needs to know about where Yara is. It's very professional, she's taking back the Iron Islands for you. Like, the Golden Company, like, everything that Daenerys needs to know, he tells her. And it's very regal, very proper. And then, once again, you have these people who... He came back for Sansa, not for Daenerys. He came back for Sansa. And you are really seeing in this episode and in this season what the difference is. What the difference of these people fight for the Starks because of those kind of things. Like, you can scare people into fighting for you, like Daenerys does. You can use those kind of methods, but it's never going to be the same as the way that these people look at the Starks and what they're willing to do to come back and fight for them. And I just thought it was very subtle in that scene, but to me it stuck out a lot, where it was another contrast of the kind of leadership.
Yeah, definitely. And I did love overall that scene worked absolutely perfect for me, and I do like that. I'm very curious to see where episode 4 of this show, because we know next week is not really going to deal with it, but assuming what happens next week.
Yeah.
But I'm very curious to see where is the power struggles post this next week's episode.
Right.
Just going back to the battle room scene, I do like the idea. Okay, we cannot defeat the Whites by themselves, or the dead just fighting.
Right.
We have to lure the Night King And
because he's our shot.
He's our shot. I am curious to see that goes. I find it interesting that no one knows about the dragon. That wasn't mentioned once.
No, it wasn't.
I would have thought it would have been.
Which you would think so, because they know that they lost a dragon.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when the White Walkers kill it, unless they're assuming that...
Well,
like...
But also, I cannot think of his name, but the guys on the wall. They saw... The wall come down from a dragon.
Yeah, I am curious
I'm
about
curious
that
as
too.
to... Yeah, like, is that just going to be one of those things where the show went... We wanted a reveal, like we wanted that moment of reveal for the characters. Where they actually are realizing. Where they're realizing, oh shit, he has a dragon.
You know what? I can appreciate that, because there is so many other things that they're dealing with that maybe they just... Yeah, you know, it's a very human thing to me that they would be like, how the frick did we not think of this?
Yeah.
like I can totally see that being a real thing where they're so focused on, we got the Night King, we need a strategy, like... We have, like, literally less than a day to deal with this.
And just completely forgot about the fact that he's got a dragon.
And then just not... Just to have it slip their minds, because they're also trying to deal with this power struggle, and all of a sudden they have just a lot going on. But I really appreciated that scene a lot, because it did show a lot of them all being able to work together. Like, it really... gave us the moment where there wasn't really any tension in that room. It was people trying to come up with the best plans and give the best knowledge that they have. And it really was another moment for Theon to say, if Bran thinks this is the best plan, let me help him. Like, let me be the one that brings the Iron Island to do this. To at least try to make some of this right for taking this from you guys. And I don't know, I just think that it's really nice, and I know we've already kind of covered this, but I do just think that it's really nice that we are actually seeing the actions be what redeems it. Like, we're really seeing him try really hard to show that I know that I was terrible, and I know I did awful things, but, like, let me help.
Yeah, and it's not like... And I like that we're getting characters who we thought were irredeemable, and they're starting to show that, no, sometimes you can. And look, we will see what happens next week, but there are certain characters who are definitely not coming out of next week.
I know, and I don't even want to think it. Like, I don't.
Yeah, like, and that's why I love this episode so much. It was, here is your swan song. Here is your last moments to get to know them again, to remember who they all are. I think Grey Worm, they're not getting to a beach as much that they were like, after this I will take you to a beach. It's like,
I think either one of them is making out of it, or neither of them.
I don't think either of them is.
Like, I just...
That whole conversation was like, no.
Well, before that conversation even last week,
I mean,
we were like, I don't think that's happen.
I'm curious to see where that goes.
We got to see...
Well, so the next scene I really liked was Arya and the Hound sitting there just talking for a second.
Yeah.
And Arya kind of realizing the Hound isn't so much about himself that she thought. Yeah. Like, I do like that we're starting to see a softening of Arya.
Yeah, which we knew was going to take some time, because after what she had been through, there was no way she was going to come back, and all of a sudden... She's back to that little girl that we saw.
I'm very glad she's not.
Which we're going to talk about, because I have a lot of opinions on this that actually have made me really angry today.
I know you have. I know.
If you follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Because I unleashed on people.
Let's just get there.
Okay. So, first of all, I just want to say that if they were both alive at this point, we knew that something like this was going to happen.
Yes.
And if you didn't, you haven't been paying attention to their chemistry or to the massive hints that have been being dropped ever since these two characters met each other.
Yes.
Right?
I'm not alone. No, you're not alone in that. And there is also I have a son, you have a daughter, let's marry them off. The Starks and the Baratheons.
It comes back to that, like whole poetic... like justice thing that we kind of have theories on about how this show is going to end because of that. But we knew that he was pretty much the only male, other than her family members, that Arya not only tolerates, but enjoys spending time with. She's been pretty obvious about that always.
Maybe Podrick, but...
Podrick and our lovely baker friend.
Yes.
What's his name?
I
can't remember either. I feel really bad. But him, he's also the best.
Yes.
But I'm talking in a sense where she obviously has some sort of real chemistry with, that she has admired, and she even told him last time they saw each other that come to Winterfell, come there and stay there. And to me, I know that it's a little weird with this show because we don't really know how much time is passing, and we don't really know how old she exactly is, but the thing is, she's not a little girl anymore. No matter how much time has passed, we know that it's at least been a couple of years.
Yeah, at least. The way they talk, that's the thing. The way they talk, it's been 8 or 9 years.
That's what I'm, like, it's been quite a while. And if we're even just going by years in terms of seasons, it's at least been a couple of years.
Yes.
And even, how old was she supposed to be in the first season?
In the first season, she was 7 or 8.
7 or 8. So if we let's say that she was about 8.
Yeah.
So at the youngest, she would be like...
Yeah.
16,
she'd be 16.
15 or 16.
But you've also got to remember that Sansa... Literally, one of the first big problems Sansa went through was she got a period.
Yeah, I know.
And that was... Kate, that doesn't happen when you're 18.
Yeah. But, no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
But, so we have that. Another thing that I want people to think about, if they haven't already, and I was thinking about this with the movie we were watching last night, too, because some people had some complaints about it. But, when you watch a show... or you read a book, or you watch a movie, you are walking into a world that is completely built new. You have to walk into it knowing that this world is not your world. It's a different world, or it's a different universe, or whatever. And it doesn't follow the same rules of the universe that we live in.
No.
That's just how world building works.
Yeah.
Where it's a completely different world, you can't assume that all of the rules work the same way.
Unless it strictly tells you.
Right, unless it's like, this is modern day New York.
Yeah.
Exactly the way, which it's clearly not.
No.
It's a fictional fantasy land that we don't even know, where it would be, or what time period it would be, or anything like that.
Exactly.
There always has to be that willingness to have a suspension of disbelief. Always. And to me, even if, let's say that she is 15, 16, even though we've pretty much confirmed that she's 18 at this point.
Yeah.
But let's say, for argument's sake, that she's 15, 16. If you don't think your little sisters or your daughters or your friends are not having sex at 16...
But even... sorry, and I'm going to take that...
Because people have been arguing, I don't want to see my little sister
I know, and look, hey, great, congratulations. Yeah, I wouldn't want to see my little sister doing either. It's not your little sister, it's a TV series. And I know you've grown up with... You've grown up with that, and, with her, fair enough... But the thing
is...
That's the character.
It is. It's the character, and just because you're uncomfortable with it doesn't mean that she should get to stifle her growth as a character because it makes you uncomfortable. There have been plenty of sex scenes that I've had to sit through this entire show that have made me extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah,
This one wasn't graphic at all. You don't actually see anything, really.
No.
In terms
half
of...
her ass. That's
what I'm saying. You don't see anything.
No.
So you don't even have to watch it.
No.
Whereas a lot of other things you've definitely had to watch.
The first season, I'll always go back to this. The first season had some of the most important expository dialogue
during
in the season. It was the fundamental character work for Littlefinger.
Yeah.
It showed everything about who Littlefinger was, and it was during a girl on girl sex scene.
Yeah.
And it was sorry, if you're okay with that, how are you not okay with this?
Grow up, I don't know what to tell you. I've been telling people on Twitter to shut up all day today, which is probably not the most diplomatic way to go about that, but I'm at this point where it's you know what kind of show you're watching.
Yeah.
She is a woman now. She has been through so many things. She's been through hell and back
She
as a
murders
child.
people.
As a child, though. She
Yeah.
shouldn't have even survived half of the things that she went through. And she has had to grow up so fast and become a woman so fast. And she finally gets this moment where she gets to choose. She hasn't really gotten to choose much of anything in her entire life, how it's gone for her. She gets to choose something that she wants that is consenting from both sides, which we have not got a ton of in this show. And it's not incestuous, and it's not super graphic, and it's something that she is like, you know what? I want to experience this. This is something I want, and I can actually have it, and it's going to be something that makes me happy. And I just don't, like, to me, the whole claiming, I don't want to see my little sister do something, drives me insane. It's like, you've seen her murder people, you've seen her go through hell and back. Like, she's not actually your little sister. Maisie Williams is 22 years old. Yeah. The character is supposedly 18, but even if she's not, like, you've seen way worse things on this show, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. So if you come to me in the comments, or on Twitter, or anywhere with comments about that, you're leaving. Bye. Like, I'm done with this conversation.
So let's get into something else that's a little less controversial. I really did not like Jon in this episode.
I knew that was going to happen.
Oh, I didn't like Jon at all in this episode, and it drove me mad. And he was in 3 scenes. He had 3 scenes. Yeah. The 2 where he, like, just went to Daenerys and was just like, cool, thank you, my queen, and walked away. And I was like, oh my god, we're going here. But
how else do you do? Like, what else is he supposed to do at that point?
I don't know. Like, but it was frustrating because I think I in my mind he was better than that, but I guess, like, it's just I don't know.
I think in a situation like that, though, it's not that you're better than that. It's how do you deal with. Like, if you think about the situation, there's no good way to approach that. There's literally no good way to approach that, especially with the woman that Daenerys is. And with the relationship that they've started to build. Yes. Like, wouldn't you freak out and be like,
completely agree to that.
I want to say as little as possible because I don't know how to...
I don't know how you handle it better. You probably handled it the best they could have. It just frustrated me. And I don't know, I was sitting there just getting frustrated. And I don't know, it was just frustrating.
I know. And the way that it actually did get handled, I've seen people complaining about the timing. But I would like you to come to me and tell me what could have been a good timing to tell Daenerys.
So, I thought, timing-wise, he did it perfectly.
I thought so, too.
Because he can go, hey, I got Dead to go fight, bye,
oh, no, they're here. Oh, God, we can't talk about this right now. Oh, no. Because, I guarantee you, if he waited until after, if they survive it, by the way, and he waited until after, Daenerys would turn around and say, you've been hiding this from me because you wanted me to come fight for you, and then once I was done fighting for you, you could have the claim to the throne. Yeah. There's no way. There's no way he could have waited.
The one bit that I loved in that scene, though, was that she said, she called him out on it. She went, so your best friend and your brother have told you this, and he didn't have an answer. He went, no, they know. And I did like that. I'm so curious to see where this goes in episode 4. Yeah. Because I'm straight up assuming, and I could be wrong, that next week is not really going to deal with any of this.
I don't really think it is either. The only thing that maybe thinks they might try and deal with it a little bit is the sneak peek that we got. Yeah. Where they do kind of seem like they're talking about it a little bit, but then Jon is kind of like, we're fighting, like, we can't really do this right now.
I get that,
So I'll be interested to see how much of that actually happens, where it's characters trying to actually talk to each other, because I don't feel like they're going to have a ton of time to do that.
Next week's a big episode. I mean, and then obviously this episode finishes with the shot of the White Walkers are there.
Yep, they can see the castle. Yep. They're there. We know it's about to happen, because as Jon and Daenerys are talking, you hear the horns being blown.
Yeah.
Like, it cuts off their conversation.
Yeah.
As Daenerys is trying to challenge him, essentially.
Yeah. I loved the final one. So I'm not generally a big fan of songs, of characters like singing like
but
that. It was perfect. It was so well done that I was just like, this is perfect and really, really well done.
I really thought it was well done because, first of all, it comes from a character you don't expect it to.
Yep. And
then it's very, very heavy in terms of it pertains so much to what they're about to go through.
Yep.
Like, you can tell it makes the rest of the characters in the circle, like, they're thinking about what he's singing. And it kind of brings them back, because they're laughing and talking, and then it kind of brings them back to what's ahead of them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was
I
put
loved
in there
it.
so nicely.
It was.
One scene that we missed that I would like to just touch on, because I thought it was a nice little moment, was with Gilly. And Davos.
Yes, with the little girl.
With the little girl.
Yeah, that was well done.
Because it wasn't them saying, you're a girl, you can't fight. It was them looking at each other going, she's too young. Yeah. Like, she's too young.
She's too young.
And them being like,
yeah,
come defend us down there because we need you to protect us. And it was still giving her that role of, you can absolutely fight and protect, but come with us.
And sorry, the other scene that our viewing party, when Sam's walking down and you hear Lyanna Mormont just like, no, I'm doing this.
I felt so bad for Jorah at that moment. He had no idea what he had just
He was like,
yeah.
He
was like, dude.
Okay.
Yep.
And that was a nice moment. Sam giving
was.
Jorah the sword, which I thought was a really nice, sweet moment.
It was I really liked their little interactions that they've gotten between the two of them, because I feel like they have this definitely unspoken connection of both being exiled from their families and kind of, not really talking about it much, except for when Sam gives him the sword and says, your father was really there for me. And which I thought was a really, really nice moment. And I think it was really good because Sam, it means a lot to Sam to have it, but he knows it's not going to do any good.
It won't do him any good.
With him. So I thought that was really, really nice too.
Well,
but that's
do we get into predictions for next weekend?
I think we should put a couple out there. So if you don't want to hear about if you haven't watched the preview and you don't want to really know,
I mean, if you don't want to see any predictions or anything,
then thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. But
so what are we thinking?
So big ones, I think. I definitely do think this was where we got our thank you for your service for Jorah, Brienne. I think they're gone.
Yeah,
I think that they're definitely gone. They got to have their moments.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of people say Jaime. I don't think Jaime goes in this episode. I don't think Jaime can go because I think Jaime has to be the one to kill Cersei because it's just storytelling poetry. Like, Jaime, the lover, is the one who kills her, and I think they both kill each other in the but I also just don't think it's the end of Jaime's story. No, it's not, and I think it would feel weird if his story ended there. I think and that's the same thing with Daenerys. Daenerys, I'm a little bit more. She could go.
Yeah.
Jon, I don't think I don't think this is the end of Jon's story. I think Sir Davos. Thanks for playing. I mean, I think that one's. I'm gonna feel cheapened if this one ends with not too much sacrifice.
Yeah,
it's gonna feel
especially
cheap.
If they win.
Yeah, if they win,
and we haven't really lost, a lot of people that we connect with.
Yeah,
it's not, and I know you and I kind of disagree on this point, but I don't think they're either gonna win or lose next episode. I still think that,
we were talking about this afterwards, and I don't know why I've got this gut feel that the Night King will die next week, and the next 3 episodes are going to be all about getting the throne from Cersei. The fact that we didn't see Cersei in this episode was a
Yeah.
big thing for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going to see her next week. I think next week is all going to be just battle.
Winterfell.
And just Winterfell. We're going to have 2 in a row that is just Winterfell. And then 4, 5, and 6 is going to be everything else. One of the dragons is absolutely going, if not
You think
both.
so?
Oh, one of them absolutely. They got to thin them out. Especially if they're either, if they win, one of the dragons has to go, because then it becomes Cersei versus 2 dragons, and that's whereas if one of them's gone, maybe, if not both. Theon. Yep.
You think he's done?
Theon will die saving Bran. That, and I think that's how that will go down. Theon will die. He will take something for Bran, and it will save Bran's life.
Okay.
What about you? Where are you?
Well, I feel like we're definitely losing Brienne. I feel like there's no way we get that moment with her. And then
Well, especially considering the episode that was called Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
so,
no.
I'm gonna be a blubbering mess.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna be destroyed. But she's probably gonna go. Probably Jorah.
Yeah.
But I mean, Theon, maybe, if we actually see that plan take place, because I don't actually know.
That's true.
If the whole bait thing is gonna work. Like, we have no idea what is actually gonna go down there. But if it does go that way, it's probably going to go wrong, and Theon will have to die.
Probably.
But that depends on how that all works out. I think that it's possible we lose the Lord Commander.
Yeah. That's possible,
but I'm just trying to think of major players, and I don't really know.
I don't think we lose a Stark.
No, I don't think so either.
I will be shocked if especially if we lose Sansa.
Yeah.
I will be shocked there. Arya is a maybe.
Yeah.
But again,
I just feel like their stories aren't
done
yet.
And I know people have been. I've seen a lot of people go, but it's Game of Thrones. Like, so many people had their stories cut short. If you think about it, they didn't.
Really?
Like, Ned's was, the father was the show is about Daenerys and Jon.
Yeah.
A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
Unless it's about both of them together or their kid or something.
Yeah.
But and that's the Song of Ice and Fire. But A Song of Ice and Fire is Daenerys and Jon. That's my belief, at least. And so basically what they've done is the story has picked up. Normally, in a normal fantasy show, the story would have picked up in around season 4. They've just shown the backstory as part of the show.
Right.
Where, Mom, the Lannisters killed my father. How many times is that a backstory in a show that we never actually see?
Yeah.
We got to see it this time.
Yeah.
They also killed my brother. The catalyst for this show would have in a fantasy novel is they killed my brother and my mother at the Red Wedding.
Yeah.
That's like act 1 in some fantasy novels. Yeah. Like, that to me is why I am of the belief that now we're getting to a point where in your storytelling you actually do have to have a purpose and a meaning for each character. That's why, unless Jon does something in this episode major, as in terms of a reason for why, one, the Lord of Light brought him back. That is a huge thing for me, is that there has to be a reason the Lord of Light, that Jon got brought back. Otherwise, it cheapens it, and I'll be disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there has always been reasons, though, in the show.
Yeah.
First, like, they don't usually just...
No, exactly. Like, if you...
do that.
It's... At the time, the Red Wedding was shocking because you didn't know the story.
Yeah.
Now that we know the story, the Red Wedding isn't that shocking because it makes sense for whose story they're telling.
Right. Yeah.
So, and that's... Yeah.
Which once you get perspective on it.
Exactly. And that's why I'm interested... Like, I mean, hey... I'm making my own argument for it at the end of episode 6. We go, oh, that's whose story this show was, and now Jon's death made sense. Or now,
Well, what do you think, after today's episode, with the conversation that Jorah and Daenerys had, have your odds increased or decreased of Tyrion dying?
Definitely not dying this week.
Okay.
I don't think Tyrion dies this in Battle for Winterfell. something is happening with Tyrion though, because they didn't address it one bit.
Yeah, I know.
And although they didn't address it one bit from last week, however, they did reaffirm that everything he did was because he believed that Cersei was telling the truth.
Yeah. And
I don't know if Tyrion was a fool enough, if that was a fool's thing, or if that he had another idea.
Another plan.
And that's
Yeah, I don't know. But it's going to be... Next week's just going to be crazy. And no matter what happens, I'm not ready for it.
No, I'm not either. We might be a bit late next week as well.
Yeah, because we do actually have other stuff going on. We'll have just moved in.
We will.
Like, work is going on. Like,
this is the last time you'll see this background.
I know.
I just want to say that.
Probably. Most likely, yeah, it is.
Yeah, most likely be the last time.
Because we're moving into our new place.
Yeah.
So, you guys are definitely going to get videos of that. That's going to be...
And you're going to get a lot more videos and a lot more content.
Yeah, which... We will get back on track with that. We just have a lot going on with trying to get ready for moving and with work and with other stuff. So if you guys sat through this whole thing, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this week's episode. And if you have any predictions for next week, what are they? Do you think your favorite character is making it out next week? Please let us know. As always, all of our links are down in the description. If you want to find us on social media, if you want to check out our Patreon, it is also down there. So thank you guys so much, and we will see you next time.
We will.